Hello, parents and students. How are you doing? This is Miss Miller, post-secondary counselor, and we recently had our senior college night meeting. And in that meeting, I'll make sure you guys can all see me. In that meeting, I went over the college application process and just some important information. So if you missed that meeting, or if you just wanted to hear the information again, I, as promised, am recording that information to present it for you so that you have it. All right, so I am going to start presenting my screen and we will go through the presentation. Okay. All right, so again, welcome to the college night. We went through just kind of who are some of our board members, our district administration, so you know who those people are, as well as our building administration, so you know who those people are. We have our counseling team here, so you know who your child's counselor is. They are listed by last name as far as the students that they service. You can see them here as well as their phone extensions. If you need to reach a counselor, their extension, you would just call the number at Bloom 708-755-1122. And then when prompted to enter an extension, you would enter one of these. If your student has an IEP, then their counselor would be Ms. Largen. In addition to that, I, the college and career counselor, the post-secondary counselor, I work with all the seniors in the building when it comes down to their college applications, doing internships, filling out scholarships, doing their FAFSA. All of that will still kind of work with me. So the big distinction is the child's academic counselor, Ms. Fushi, Gonzalez, Yanez, Pugh, Winters, or Largen are here to help your child make sure that they graduate, stay on track with any assistance they need in that way. And I, the college and career counselor, am to help your child make sure that they have a plan when they leave here. So that is the big distinction. Okay. So we went through kind of everything that has led up to senior year, all the different things that they have done. One thing that was important to highlight at this part was that we've been talking about career and college since they were a freshman, going into their English classes, doing presentations, introducing them to Naviance. So none of this should be new, even though the senior year, I know they get very anxious and very excited. So it feels like it's new, but actually none of this is new. This is stuff we have been doing since they were freshmen. Going into their senior year, so some of the things that we will focus on is a welcome to senior year, where I reintroduce Naviance to them, show them how on Naviance to request their transcripts, show them how to find colleges, and how to go through the actual application process. I'm going to do a 2-day presentation. The first day, I talk to them about all things college. I really go through just kind of making sure that they understand what the college process is and how to apply to college. And then on the second day, I actually get them started on their college applications. I have them fill out their first application or start their Common App, which I'll talk about what that is in a minute. So while there are over 400 seniors, so I don't sit down individually with each student and do college applications with them. I get them started in the process, and then they can meet with me if they have any questions or they get stuck. So then what are their options for post-secondary planning? There are pretty much 4 directions that they can take. They can go to college, which that would either be a 2-year or a 4-year school. So the community college, which we'll talk about that in a minute. They can go to the military. They can go to the military for one of 2 things. They can go to the military because they want to go to the military. They want to learn a skill. They want to get a job in the military, and they want to work for the United States military. Or they can also go to the military to help pay for college. So by enlisting in the United States military, there is also still the GI Bill that will help pay for college as another route to paying for college. There are technical and trade schools. So when we're talking about a technical or trade school, we're talking about like hair school, barber college, HVAC, electrician, plumbing, construction. All of that are actual trades or technical schools that they can do. And then finally, then go right to work. So we have some amazing like factories in the area, the Sugar Steel factory, there's an Amazon, there's the Ford plant. All of those factories are places that they can go directly into straight to work, or there's even retail, working in a store, just anything like that. Students that say, you know what, I really just want to focus on just going right into work. I still help them like do applications and all of that. So I can help with all of that. So for the rest of the presentation, we're really going to focus on college, um, because that process is a little bit more detailed than the process of doing a work application. So understanding when it comes down to college, what post-secondary institutions exist. There are 2-year colleges, which are the junior colleges. Our junior college in which students get the residency price. So they are considered a resident of Prairie State College. So it is more affordable for them to go to Prairie State College than it is to go to maybe South Suburban or the city colleges or Joliet Junior College. It's going to be more affordable for them to go to Prairie State. There are some exceptions, like if they want to do certain programs like ultrasound that they don't have at Prairie State, sometimes they can get the residency rate at South Suburban or Joliet Junior College because that's a program that they offer that we don't. But for the most part, if they are looking to start at a 2-year school, Prairie State would be their option. Generally speaking, a student that has a 2.0 GPA or below would probably be looking at starting at the junior college. If they have at least a 2.0 and they apply early, there are some 4-year schools that we can still look at. But generally speaking, they are looking at the junior college for a below a 2.0. Also, trade schools are still considered post-secondary schools. So if they want to, they have trade programs at Prairie State, but then they have also like Intech, which is like a technical school. UTI, it's a little bit on the pricey side, but that's a technical school. There's the school in Alsa that a lot of students go to. So there are a couple trade programs, and then 4-year universities and colleges. So those are going to be like your Illinois State, Chicago State, University of Illinois, University of Michigan type schools. So those are post-secondary institutions. What can you be doing to prepare your student for college? So at school, making sure that they're taking the courses that they need, which we're going to talk about coursework in a minute, being aware of their credits and the numbers that they need for graduation. So there's one thing, and we'll talk about it in the next slide. There's one thing about having enough credits to graduate. There's another thing about having the courses that you need for college programs. And then looking at their standardized test scores. All students have a College Board account. They can log into their College Board account and see their test scores. If they want to retake any type of standardized test, they can email me and get a waiver if it's not already preloaded into their account, and they can retake standardized tests. I would suggest doing that now, though, if that is the plan. But when it comes down to standardized tests, I do want to touch on that a little bit. For testing, it's a matter of, are you a good test taker or are you not a good test taker? If a student is not a good test taker, retaking the test 2, 3, 4 times isn't really going to change the fact that they really aren't a good test taker, unless you really have them in some type of tutoring or something that's going to move that score differently. So one good thing is, since like a little bit before the pandemic, but especially since the pandemic, so many schools have moved to what's called test optional, which means they will look just at the student's grades, at their resume, at their letters of recommendation, at their essays for admissions. Being test optional, applying test optional does not make them any less as a qualified candidate not submitting scores. And honestly, if the test scores are not good, it only hurts them to submit test scores when they aren't going to help complement their application. So unless your student has like 1080, 1100, 1200 on their SAT scores, it really doesn't help them to submit the scores. It really actually hurts them more than it helps them. So really, if they're not a good test taker, it's not necessary to continue to retake the test. You're going to just look at those test optional schools. All right, outside of that, extracurricular and community service is something I really want to touch on as well, and work experience. Those are things that strengthen your application. Um, Schools in Chicago require community service. We don't require it. However, it does look very good to have it. So that is just something to keep in mind. It looks good on the application to have community service. Okay, so again, I mentioned that there is a difference between required coursework and recommended coursework. Recommended coursework is going to be what colleges are looking for. Required means this is what your child needs in order to actually graduate. But there is also the recommended classes that would be things that help strengthen their application. 4 years of English is for everything. Math and science is where there's a big difference. Math, you want to see that to graduate, they only need three credit hours of math, but we recommend 4 credit hours of math when it comes down to for colleges. Here's why. One, it helps the college to see that they're better prepared to take college level math when they get to college. Two, the other issue that a lot of students at Bloom in particular are running into is that we notice their sorry, my phone was ringing. We notice that their math scores are not high. So what that means is they're going to go into college and they're not going to be ready for college level math. They're going to be placed into a math 99. That math 99 is like a prereq. So it's a class that they have to pay for, but it's not college level. So it's not going to count toward their degree. We want to try to avoid that as much as possible. So one of the best ways to avoid that is by them having math their senior year. It helps them to be better prepared to place into college level math when they get to college and actually take classes that are going to be worthwhile to their degree. So we really strongly push for that 4th year of math. Also, 3 years of science. A lot of colleges want to see 3 years of science on them. And skipping down, the foreign language or some type of art or band. Now, there are specific schools, like one in particular in Illinois, the University of Illinois, Champaign-Urbana, the flagship, biggest, one of the biggest schools in Illinois, our big public school, most selective public school in Illinois. They require 2 years of foreign language, 2 years, same language. Other schools will say foreign language or 2 years of art or 2 years of music, but they want to see some type of, or 2 years of like a CTE class, like culinary or woodworking. They want to see 2 years of that. So those are the difference between college requirements and graduation requirements. I talked a little bit about standardized testing when it comes down to whether or not you should retest. And again, that is going to be just based on how well of a test taker you are, or if you feel like retaking the test is going to make a big difference in your score. If you can say that day I was tired, that day I was like really not focused, or anything was happening or going on that day in which you feel like if you retest, you're going to make a major difference in your score, then go by all means retest. But if you don't think that retesting is going to make a major difference, it really is more stressful than it is helpful. Some people ask, should they take the ACT if they took the SAT already? It's really apples and oranges. It's like, I want a piece of fruit. Okay, I have an orange. Oh, that works. I want a piece of fruit. Oh, I have an apple. Okay, that works. Like either one of them is going to work. They're different, but kind of still the same. There is no magic answer for that. If you feel like somehow you're going to take the ACT and do significantly better than you did on the SAT, I mean, you could try it. The only difference is there's a science section on the ACT and there's not a science section on the SAT. But other than that, it really is no major difference in how colleges view those scores. AP exams. So the important thing about understanding an AP exam is that you want to go ahead and take it because if you do score a 4 or 5 on your AP exam, you possibly could place out of having to take certain classes when you get to college. Just saves you money if you could place out of those classes. And then any student interested in the military will have to take the ASVAB test. You can reach out to me to set up a day to take that test. When it comes down to picking a college, what are things that you should be thinking about? One thing in particular is looking at the majors and the educational programs. So whatever you want to major in, you have to go and look on their college website, look under their majors, look at the coursework that's associated with that major, look to see what they have to offer. In some cases, they have opportunities to do study abroad, and they have internships, and they have connections with that particular major. That may make one school more favorable than the other school. Also, they may sometimes have different styles of the same major. So if you're interested in, let's say, structural engineering, at one school, you might be able to actually go to be a student at the College of Engineering and do structural engineering. At another school, you might be a student in the science department, and maybe your major is actually going to be architectural studies or something like that. Like, you have to look to see exactly what the major is and see the characteristics of that major to see if that's something you want to do. What type of degree is going to be offered? There's a difference between a Bachelor of Art and a Bachelor of Science. The main thing is going to be the coursework. If you're doing a Bachelor of Arts, you're going to find that your coursework is more historical based, liberal art classes, English classes, writing based, reading based classes. If you're doing a Bachelor of Science, you're going to find that you have more math based classes, more science based classes. So you have to see which one of those work for you. Same major. Let's say you're majoring in psychology, that one college may offer a Bachelor of Science in psychology, while the other college offers a Bachelor of Arts in psychology. So if you prefer science over art, then you may prefer the college that offers a BS in psychology over the college that offers a BA in psychology. If that's confusing, definitely come see me and we could talk more about that. Location, size, all of that matters. If you know that you are the type of student, or your child is the type of student in which they need small classes, then you need to go to a college that's smaller. There's some colleges, like, again, U of I has 50,000 students. They have all type of lecture halls with 100, 200, 300 amount of students in the lecture hall at one time, as opposed to a school like, I don't know, Eastern Illinois, that might have 25,000 students or 20,000 students. So they have a lot more classes that are 50 students or 40 students, 20 students per class, as opposed to the big lecture halls. Those are things to consider when it comes down to school. The cost. Financial aid is going to be a big component. Financial aid is a big way that most of our students pay for college. So when it comes down to paying for college, we'll talk about that in some other slides. There are scholarships, but there's financial aid. Most of the money is going to come, a lot of money comes from financial aid for a lot of our students, because a lot of our students qualify for full financial aid. Financial aid is that FAFSA application that opens in December, which at the end we'll talk about FAFSA night that's coming up September 4th, and I hope you can all make it to that. All right, I'm going to skip ahead. When you are comparing your colleges, you want to kind of make lists and spreadsheets, maybe do a comparison sheet where you can look at just the price comparison, the major that you would have, the class size, all type of things like that. So when you could do your research can be done on the internet. It could be done on college visits, college tours. If you guys were at the parent night, I passed out a sheet. It kind of looks like this. It's the senior calendar, if you can see that. Senior calendar. When I come into the classroom, I will also have copies of these sheets to give. It's a packet to give all the seniors. On this sheet, it has all of the local college fairs, college tours that we know about, times that we're going to visit colleges that we know about at this time. As much as you can get in front of those colleges and talk to them, you really will get the best information that you can get. Anytime we have a college coming to visit, if they're going to be in the cafeteria or if they're going to be in a room doing a small presentation, if you even think you might be interested in that school, you really should sit down with the actual college recruiters and hear the information that they have to give, because they can give so much more detail and really help to paint the picture of what it would look like to be on that campus. If you do go to visit a college, which I encourage, you visit these colleges as much as you can. You can set up a virtual visit if you're not able to get there, like for out of state schools. You can go on their websites and do their virtual visits. You can make appointments with their counselors and their recruiters to talk to them. But as much as you can, get on these campuses, especially the local ones like Chicago State and Governor State, University of Illinois, Illinois State, Eastern Illinois University. Those are all drivable about 2 to 3 hours. You have up to, I believe, 4 days that you can do college visits. You could just take the day off of school. It'll be excused as a college visit. You go drive to that campus and set yourself up for a tour. I strongly advise reaching out to the Office of Admissions to actually set up a tour so that you're not just walking around looking at buildings, but they can really walk you through what you're looking at. When you go on those visits, really have some type of checklist of things you're looking for. What's important to you? What's going to be the advantages and disadvantages of a school? And compare it, take notes so that when it's time to make a decision, you have a lot of information in front of you. On these campus visits, some things that you can look for specifically: dorms. I don't think it's as big as some of the students make it, but dorms seem to be a huge, huge deal to this current generation of students. They really feel like they cannot stay in a dorm that does not have private bathrooms. The idea of communal bathrooms just seems like they're like, oh no, oh no, oh no, even though we all did it. I did it, a lot of people did it. Communal bathrooms are not the end of the world. They really are not. But if it is going to be the difference between you liking a college and you not liking a college, then you need to see the dorms. Try to visit classrooms in the department that you will be majoring in. Go to the dining hall. See if you can eat at the dining hall. Visit the sports facilities, the student center. Actually go to the academic department of the major that you're going to be meeting with. Talk to some students on campus. Try to talk to professors, admissions. Definitely see financial aid. If you go and meet with the financial aid office, you can sometimes tell them, this is about how much money we make. What do you think that financial package may look like? They may be able to tell you an estimate of how much you would be paying out of pocket, if anything. I can already tell you right out that I have told the seniors that they need to have a list at minimum of 5 colleges that they have on their college list. And 3 of those colleges should be public state schools. Here is why. Everybody listening? When it comes down to financial aid, if you qualify for the full financial aid package, with which a lot of Bloom students do, I would say somewhere close to 75 to 80% of students that attend Bloom qualify for full financial aid. You qualify for full financial aid, already you're going to get from the federal government the federal Pell Grant. That federal Pell Grant is about somewhere close to $8,000. That federal Pell Grant can be used at any school across the country. On top of the federal Pell Grant, you also get the Illinois MAP Grant. The Illinois MAP Grant can only be used at Illinois schools. That is about another $7,000 to $8,000. So we're saying, right, just financial, most Bloom students are going to qualify to get about $16,000 to go to a state school, free money. Now, if they go out of the state, it's only $8,000 because they only have the federal grant. They don't have the federal and the state grant. But in the state of Illinois, most of our students qualify for the MAP grant and the Pell Grant, which is somewhere close to like $16,000 and just free money that comes from the government in financial assistance. You add that with any scholarships that they may get for having a GPA of maybe a 3.3, a 3.4, a 3.5. And a lot of the state schools are going to probably be close to free to our high achieving, low income students. That is why I always tell them, make sure you are looking at these state schools because that is going to be the most affordable option for you. Now, if your family is able to contribute financially to college, then you may also still find that Out-of-state schools, HBCUs are great options. If your family does not qualify for full financial aid, then sometimes an out-of-state school might be more affordable than an in-state school. We have to really, that's when those comparison sheets come into play. But for a large amount of our Bloom student and public state school, Illinois State, Eastern Illinois, Western Illinois, Northern Illinois, Chicago State, University of Illinois, Springfield, those are going to be the more affordable schools when it comes down to actual bottom line money. Okay, I cannot stress this enough either. Apply early. There are three different ways to apply, three different types of deadlines. One is an early action deadline. Another one is a regular decision deadline. And the third is an early decision deadline. So early action is how I advise all of our students to apply. If there is an early action deadline, they need to try to make that deadline. Those deadlines for early action are usually November 1st or December 1st. And that is my strong advice. The earlier you apply, if you make that early action deadline, you are saying to the college, I am very serious about this process. I am very serious about college. I am serious about your institution. And colleges are giving more money, and they are more flexible with their admission decisions if you apply early. So those borderline students, those students with a 2.8, 2.9 GPA, 2.7 GPA, even 2.6 GPA, you apply early and you have a better chance of getting accepted in November than you do of getting accepted in February. You wait until February and there's a chance that you're not going to get accepted. You apply early and you have a better chance of getting accepted. So apply early, apply early, apply early. Not only that, you qualify for more scholarships when you apply early. So I cannot stress it enough. I tell all students to try to be done with all their college applications by October 31st. October 31st is what I say your deadline should be. Put that in your head, make that your deadline, October 31st. And that's for all documents. One good thing is, as I reminding you, we say a minimum of 5 college applications. That's how many at least have 5 college applications. At least 3 of those should be public state schools. But you can apply to as many schools as you want, because guess what? You all have a fee waiver. You don't have to pay application fees. So because you don't have to pay the application fees, then you can just keep applying. I will send the fee waiver and your transcript. So I'm going to go over that process with the students when I go into their classroom, but just giving you a quick preview, transcripts have to be requested in Naviance. If a student applies to college but never request a transcript, I don't know. I can't send something that I don't know about. When they make that request in Naviance, they go into Naviance and they request a transcript, then I can send their transcript and I send their fee waiver all at the same time. So they don't have to pay college application fees and their transcript is sent, and that finalizes their application. That request needs to be made before the deadline because I need to try to get that out before the deadline as well. So I tell students, do not make a request on October 31st and then expect the transcript to go out on October 31st. That's not fair. There are 400 seniors. You need to be prepared further in advance. So transcript requests go out after you finish the application, so you need to plan accordingly. I cannot send test scores. Test scores are sent through College Board. So you need to log into your College Board. If you are going to send a test score, you send it directly from College Board. All right, so the places that you can apply to college. So Naviance is where you request your transcript, and that's where you indicate the schools that you have applied to. But the actual application is done through the Common Application for most of your applications. Almost all of them will be done through the Common App. Now, if you are a student that wants to apply to a lot of HBCUs, you can also look at the Common Black application. That is a $20 fee. I can't waive that, but that allows them to apply to almost every HBCU. Between the Common App and the Common Black app, that's every HBCU, I think, in the country. One thing to note, Tennessee State, if that is one of the schools on your list, Tennessee State, for whatever reason, doesn't take our fee waiver. But they are on the Common Black app, so that $20 application is going to allow you to apply to Tennessee State, and it's cheaper because on their website it's $40 to apply to Tennessee State. So that is, any student applying to Tennessee State should do the Common Black application. Excuse me. And then finally, you can apply directly on the school's website. So you can go to www.wiu.edu for Western and hit apply and apply right on their website. If you are meeting with the college reps, sometimes the college reps prefer for you to do it on their website because they get it faster than if you do it on the common application. So that is also something you can do. You apply right on the school's website and then you go to Naviance and you request a transcript. I am going to walk your student through, again, this entire process of how to apply, how to request a transcript. When I go into the classrooms, I walk them through this entire process. And then if for some reason they were absent, when I came to their classroom, they could always come see me and I will show them how to do this. Any student that is requesting a letter of recommendation, that also needs to be done in Naviance because that is how the teacher uploads the letter. So that's important too. So now, paying for college. I know this is a lot of information, but I wanted to make sure you guys have it all. Paying for college. I already talked about financial aid. Financial aid is its own application that is called the FAFSA. The FAFSA application, FAFSA. Last year, it opened in December. In years prior, it opened in October. I don't know yet when it's going to open, but we should know when we have financial aid night. By then, we should know when it's going to open. And as much information as I can send you, I will send you out to let you know when this deadline, when it opens up. That is where most of the money comes from. A lot of people think it's scholarships and they're like filling out all these scholarship applications. That's important because scholarships help. But most of the money is going to come from financial aid. So you do that financial aid application. The government and the state will tell you how much money they can give you. And then the college is going to look at that same financial aid application. And then the college is going to say, now we can add to what the government and the state already gave you. On top of that, the colleges will be giving out scholarships based on academics. So you add all of that together. Financial aid from the government, scholarships that the colleges may give you from academics, and then scholarships that your child may apply to outside of school. That's where a lot of free money comes from. That's all the free money. Now, if all the free money doesn't cover the full tuition and fees, then the next option is taking out loans. The student can take out a loan as well as the parent can take out a loan, and out of pocket. So obviously out of pocket is least ideal, but that's how college is paid for. So ways to reduce that tuition. Again, I said the very first thing you do is that FAFSA. And then that FAFSA is going to help you qualify for other things. And then looking for grants, looking for scholarships. The colleges will tell you things that you're qualified for. Making sure any college you apply to, then go back on the college website and look and see if they have a page just for scholarships. Because sometimes they have separate applications on the college website for scholarships. You want to apply to as many of them as you can on the college website as well as outside websites. Some of the websites that we encourage, one of them in particular that I encourage is goingmerry.com. That's my favorite. Goingmerry.com is for outside scholarships. But then if your place of business or your employment or your bank, anywhere you can find them is where you would apply. Finally, do not, I repeat, do not make a college decision that you have not reviewed the entire plan. Here's the process. You are going to apply in October. By October, you apply for colleges. Right off the bat, those colleges are going to look at your application and they're going to say, based on your grades, we can maybe offer you these academic scholarships. They'll tell you that right in October, but that is not the time to make a decision yet. Because, and oh, I didn't go back to early decision. I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to go and talk to you guys about early decision. I only talked about early action. So I missed a couple things I want to talk to you guys about. So The colleges are going to, you apply in October, they give you an initial offer that says, okay, based on your academics, I can say we can offer you a $10,000 scholarship. That's amazing. That's exciting. Then they may also say, hey, some of these other schools might say, hey, based on your academics, we can offer you $100,000 scholarship. But what some students say is, oh my gosh, I got $100,000 from this school. I only got $10,000 from this school. I'm going to go to the $100,000 offer. Here's the thing to understand. They offered you $100,000. What's their tuition? Because more than likely, if they offer you $100,000, their tuition is probably $200,000. While the school that offered you $10,000, their tuition might only be $20,000 or $25,000. So you're still going to pay more at the $100,000 offer than you would pay at the $10,000 offer. So wait, don't make a decision yet. You're going to do that financial aid application in maybe December. After you do the financial aid application, the government is going to process that. It takes some time to process. They're going to send the information to the colleges. Each individual college is going to make you a financial aid offer. Those usually come out in about February, March. They will each individually send you a letter and say, this is how much you get in financial aid. This is how much we're going to give you in scholarships. This is how much you owe the university. Once you get all of those letters, that is when you can make a decision. That is why the decision day for college is not usually until, May, like the first week of May, maybe the end of April. That is why we don't do National Decision Day until then, because you need time to be able to look over these offers and make a decision. So going back to how I said the ways to apply, you can apply early action, which is that December 1st, November 1st deadline. If you don't make that deadline, the other way to apply is regular decision. Sometimes that's February, January, February. So some students may not even finish their applications until January, February. You can do that. I prefer that you finish it in the fall. I really prefer that you finish your applications by the end of November. By the end of this October. I just think it's in your best interest. But you can push it to whatever that regular decision deadline is. The one thing I strongly, strongly, strongly do not suggest that students do is what is called early decision. Here's why I say no to early decision as much as possible. Early decision is when you are signing a contract with a college and you are saying to them, if you accept me, I will go. Now, the problem with that contract is that it's saying, regardless of how much it costs, I'm going to go to your school. So the only time you should be doing an early decision contract with the school is when money is not a factor. And for most of us, including myself, money is a factor. I cannot just say without financial aid that I can pay a $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 tuition. So the good thing is you can't do the early decision application without me signing off on that application. The colleges won't even accept it unless I sign off on it. And I won't sign off on it unless I've talked to you and your parent to make sure that you understand what you're doing. So you can't accidentally do that contract. You can't accidentally sign the early decision contract. It won't even work. So that's the good thing. And I just don't advise it. And I'm not going to sign off on it until you and your parent have explicitly told me that you understand what you're doing and you understand the implications. So that I wanted to go back and make sure I explained early decision and why I don't advise it. All right. So that is everything. I know it was a lot. That's why I made the video. Watch the video as many times as you need to watch it to make sure you caught all the information. Take notes, write things down. And if all else fails, just call me, email me. I am here to help. I want to be your partner in this to make sure that you get everything you get and you know everything you need to know. Our financial aid night is going to be September 4th. I talked a little bit about financial aid, about grants and about loans and about scholarships, but we're going to have a night just dedicated to going over that, going over the FAFSA. What does it look like? When will the FAFSA be open? When can you fill out that FAFSA application for financial aid? Financial aid is where most of the money for college is going to come from. So you want to be at this September 4th financial aid night. I hope this was super helpful to you. Definitely call me, reach out if there are any questions, and you guys have a great rest of your day.